family. Once again, we've managed to organize another soccer family get together. I'm the guy that's going to be asking most of the questions today, M. And again, we got a cast of characters. So let's start off from my top left. We have the guy that's fiddling with his phone for some weird reason. Bazzi. Bazzi, say what's up to the people.
Guys, this is passion. I just got off and I'm in the car and I'm doing it in the car. That just shows I'm passionate, so don't blaze me. Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing? This is the year of the Gunners. This is the year of the Arsenal. We're proud this year. We're out there. Look at Kevin rolling his eyes.
Okay.
Everybody's afraid of us. They're having nightmares. They're waking up screaming.
You can mute him whenever you want,
babies after
please.
Arsenal.
Okay. And then next up, we got KG. KG, say what's up, KG.
What's going on, fellas? Back for another week.
All right, let's get this going. And then we have two special guests today. First up, we got Rohit. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what team do you support?
Yeah, so I'm a huge Everton supporter, have been for the last 8 to 10 years. I'm really excited for the season and I'm looking forward to diving into the conversation today. Not often that I get to talk too much about Everton, mostly United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Big Six clubs. So it's good to be bragging about Everton.
Okay, so see, that's what happened. That's what happens when you're in the top 6. Even though it's only 2 games in the season, you get to come on the soccer family. And then last but not least, we got Aiden Teresta. Aiden, say what's up to the people.
People, what's up? I am a long-suffering Arsenal fan since 1998. Good times, weird times. We're still in the weird times, but whenever it happens, we will have earned it.
Okay. Patient man, patiently waiting for...
I got to say this, though. You can't say you're long-suffering, whereas my team hasn't won a trophy since 95, so I haven't won a trophy in my lifetime.
But when you drive a Corolla, you expect it to be a Corolla. When you drive a Porsche, you expect it to be a Porsche.
Touche. All right, so before we jump into the Arsenal Everton banter, let's talk about a game that actually ended a couple hours ago. We can talk about the UEFA Super Cup. Bayern edged Sevilla 2-1. Bazzi, what are your thoughts on that game today? Oh, you're muted, by the way, so you're gonna have to take yourself off mute. Okay.
Maybe the call host muted him, and you're the only one that can unmute him.
No, I can't unmute him. Go ahead, Bazzi.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, Bayern showed their class yet again. Basically, they showed what they always have, and Leroy Sané fit like a glove in the squad. It's like the guy's been playing for Bayern Munich for the last 10 years. I feel like Joshua Kimmich is going to come on his own now, filling into that gap. Leon Goretzka is going to be the man again. So it was Bayern being Bayern again, So it's one of those things where it's like they're just going to get better. They just added a player, and then the player that wasn't playing the position they were playing last year in Kimmich, now he gets to excel as an actual midfielder, and playing that Thiago role. So it's like, man, they're just going to keep getting better. And teams are going to be worried. So
Aiden, real quick question. The last couple of games that Bayern played, the last game that they played, they won the game 8-0. This game was a little bit closer than expected. Do you think Sevilla how do you think Sevilla performed?
It's odd because I wonder if on the whole these guys at Bayern even have fun anymore, because it's too dominant. It's too dominant in a lot of ways, if not physically, if not conditioning, if not tactically, more often than not, just their culture, right? So Sevilla is great. Like, nice football, mid-tier team in Spain, but it's not even comparable. So it kind of feels like that in the Bundesliga as well. So I don't even know if these guys are even enjoying themselves, let alone, are we going to talk about, did they apply themselves? Sure. I feel like they turned it on when they needed to.
KG, quick question. Do you think that Sevilla, the way how Sevilla handled themselves, it's a complete 180 from the way how Barcelona handled themselves? But yet still, Barcelona is considered to be a better team. What are your thoughts on the Sevilla Barcelona, how they handled their game going against Bayern?
Well, you have to understand Sevilla is a cup team. If you look at their success in the cups over the last like 5 to 6 years, like they've won, I think, what is it, three Europa Leagues. So like when they go into the cup competitions and they go into these finals, like they are a well prepared, very, very dogged team to play against, and they know how to play. They play one way, and any team that you come up against that plays in that style, generally in cup competitions is going to be difficult to beat. So, the Barca result was an aberration. I don't think that was they caught Barca at the right time, and I think that was kind of, that it was like a snowball rolling downhill. They couldn't stop it like after a certain point. But yeah, I mean, Sevilla's never like if you look at when they play Real and you look at when they play even Barcelona, they're never really outmatched. They're a very dogged team. They get results in cups. They've shown their class. So, for them to run the game close, I don't think that was something that's that big of a surprise.
Okay, so Rohit, before we started the recording, one name came to mind on Bayern. It was not Lewandowski, even though that was a great assist, by the way, for that first goal. But Javi Martinez. I think not a lot of people talk about Javi Martinez. Javi Martinez. What are your thoughts on how he impacted the game today?
Well, he obviously scored the winner, so obviously had a huge impact. I was surprised that he was coming on, considering all the rumors circulating that he's going to be left departing the club in the next couple of weeks to go back to Spain. But I thought he made a big impact on the game, definitely. The one thing about Sevilla I want to quickly mention is that they did have opportunities in this match. I mean, they had the breakaway, Yusuf Ed-Nesyri. He was on his way to go past Neuer. He just put his head down a little too early, in my opinion, kind of indicated where he was going to shoot the ball. But realistically, this game shouldn't have gone to extra time. There was 2 overturned goals by VAR. The first one was clearly offside. The second one, I personally don't know what Anthony Taylor was seeing because there was no foul on Lewandowski, but just my complaints with VAR as usual.
Bayern had a goal.
Taylor I don't know why they keep letting him ref these big games. He makes mistake after mistake after mistake.
You sound like a salty Chelsea fan. Has he wronged you in the past?
He wrongs everyone.
I would actually vouch for KG on that. What's interesting is I actually liked him before he started getting these bigger European and international assignments. I thought he was a little bit more earnest about it, and now it seems like he might be going off of the Mike Dean model, where it's starting to become about him, and really quite selfish, which is a shame because he doesn't seem like that kind of personality. But I'm gonna back you up on that one, KJ.
Oh, he has his name. He has his name on his boots.
Oof. Oh yeah, he does. I did see that.
I did not know that. That's really awkward. Like, what do you mean? First of all, you should be blacking your boots out. And like, what do you do?
He's a baller now. He's a baller.
That says everything you need to know. That says everything you need to know.
KG, where you be finding these things out?
No, I did see that.
That's the funniest thing.
You did point out a little interesting fact there that Sevilla did have their chances to score. There was even a case where I think it was in the 90th minute, or I think it was the start of extra time, where right off the break they had that shot. They even had a breakaway with Alaba. Neuer hit the ball off his foot because
his foot and hit the post.
If that was Kepa, KG, if that was Kepa, we know, or De Gea. We know what would have happened because that's or Pickford. Let me just bring everybody in the fold. Yeah. But it's just the quality that Bayern have. I think overall it is what the cream eventually rose to the top.
Can I ponder a question to you guys? Because I haven't really watched that much so far, but I was watching this match. There were about 15,000 fans and Puskás Arena in Budapest. I do wonder if not having fans would have benefited Bayern more, because I felt like Sevilla did have some energy based on the crowd reactions, their supporters at least. I was wondering your thoughts on that. If you noticed anything like that, I could just be spitballing here.
It was interesting to me to see that there were fans in the stadium, and I know that once you have fans, it's very encouraging, even if it's away fans, because if they're jeering you and you're performing well, like, it's even more motivation for, okay, go ahead, keep jeering me on. So I think that was actually a factor, and that was also something that could be considered in the Champions League, because in the Champions League there were no fans. Bayern actually had their way where they would play good football. So I think the fact that fans are starting to come back now, it's a different dynamic, and the 12th man is real. So that's how I think. Aiden, what are your thoughts on it?
You know, it's hard to, because we went into this space where empty stadiums, what are the players going to react like? How's it going to be for places that are traditionally harder to play when they're empty, for the away teams and that kind of thing? So just like that was kind of the unknown, I think you don't realize until you feel it or experience it, even if you've got, like you said, 100 people or 1,000 people cheering for you at a moment where you kind of been going on your own motivation or just your teammates keeping you up, that's got to be a different vibe. There's no way it's not.
Okay. So there's the fact that their fans are coming back into the stadium, that is something to be welcomed. But really and truly over in England, things are buzzy. You're shaking your head no. What is your problem now?
I don't like it. I want to keep the fans far away as possible. I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm a superstitious guy. I'm old school. We've been winning for like 9 games. We've been balling. Keep those guys as far away as possible. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to see those guys outside of the stadium with binoculars, nothing.
Okay.
I don't want to see those guys. Keep
So
them away. We're
let's
winning
talk
games.
Let's talk about the winning streak that Arsenal has been going through. You guys had a game this past weekend in the Carabao Cup. That's the latest game that you guys played. Beat Leicester 2-0.
Yesterday. Come on, man. Wake up.
This week? Is it this past week or no?
Yesterday.
Yeah, it was a couple yesterday, yeah.
Okay, 24 hours ago.
And don't downplay
what are
my
your
team,
thoughts?
man. We've been winning.
I don't pay attention to your team, Bazzi. I look at winners. What are your thoughts on your below average Arsenal team, Bazzi?
Okay, you see, this is what losers do. They downplay winners, but it's okay. So right now, like I'm saying, a lot of you guys are afraid. It's like a defense mechanism you're doing with Arsenal. Arteta is steering the wheel. He's doing the right things. And I like the way how he's utilizing the players, how he's using the players, the different type of players. He is really a very technical guy, and he knows what he's doing. And right now, we got to calm our nerves. We're not trying to be over the top, because it seems like everything is in place. And I also feel like we have more signings coming in. But if we don't have any signings coming in, I'm actually okay with what we have and the type of business that we did. So, one thing about being an Arsenal fan, we're used to haters. Chelsea, Man U, it's like it's your duty to hate us. What is a hater's job? It's to hate. So I cannot be mad at you guys for doing your job, but ultimately there's only one big red club in England.
Okay, so
your Arsenal opinion is about as over the top as your blonde hair.
KG,
Thank you. I love it.
Bazzi, so basically what you're saying, you have nothing to contribute to what actually happened in the Arsenal Leicester game. That's fine. I didn't. What are your thoughts on the?
I'm so over the top about our team. Okay, but let me get back to the game.
Pepe, Bazzi, you had your chance. Pepe
No. I need my 5 seconds. 5 seconds. 5 seconds.
Annual. We consider this goal where it ricocheted off. I count like 17 different people or different.
It's an own goal. We'll give him the own goal.
Those are the
no credit for that.
What are your thoughts on Pepe's performance in that game?
I thought Pepe did well, and I don't rate him too much on the Carabao Cup game. Like I say, we're trying to bring players in. The coach is doing what he can to utilize the players. So we're happy guys didn't get injured, and things like that. But it's a Carabao Cup game. We got through. That's what was more important, you know. We're not going to get overexcited over a game like that, to be honest.
I didn't. Are you happy about the form that Arsenal has been in right now? And is there any room for you to be worried, considering that you have, is it Liverpool coming up? You have a nice stretch
Yeah.
of going in.
Monday.
So it's
Monday.
kind of like you worry about everything but panic about nothing, right? That's not an original term, but it feels like it fits. For me, I don't feel like I don't even feel like we need more signings. Why? Because the learning and the cultural adaptation that this team needs to make should be happening with the existing players. Why? Because this manager needs to demonstrate that it doesn't always need to be about the talent that he brought in, but the ability to turn around and convert talent that he started with, right? I think we're seeing a lot of that. For example, with the Leicester match, I like the fact that you can pretty much choose a different 11, bring guys like Joe Willock in, bring guys like Reece Nelson in. And I thought Pepe didn't necessarily have a brilliant statistical game, but he made himself a real nuisance. The defenders didn't really know what to do with him. He was drawing in that center half a lot. The first own goal was kind of sloppy, but the bigger thing for me is that Eddie Nketiah is in the right place a lot of the damn time. And so even if someone like Pepe didn't hit the target that first time and we got lucky, that second time, even though it was an ugly goal, Eddie does some serious work to jump over the defender that fell in front of him to kind of scuff it in. Like, really, really nice stuff. And the point is, you've seen that in a lot of different applications against a lot of different opponents. That doesn't mean we're going to win every one. I think Liverpool is scary as hell. They have everything we know they have, and I think the players that they still have brought in that we haven't seen yet, and a lot of different aspects of how they do their thing. Yeah, it's scary, man. But for Arsenal's part, we have intentional leadership. We've been missing that since Arsene. You could argue he was missing a lot of pieces on that front, especially towards the end. But right now, super happy.
So right now, Rohit, you're sitting pretty. You guys have won 3 games. It all in all competitions since you've played this season. But
four. Come on now.
okay, 4. We've only won 1, so life is rough right now for Man U. But we've talked about Arsenal. But what are your thoughts on Leicester? They didn't start Jamie Vardy, which is their golden egg. What do you think they need to do to improve?
Well, Leicester needs to find another center half after that gruesome injury against Arsenal. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but based on Brendan Rodgers' diagnosis, he might need surgery. He's going to be out for 12 weeks. So if you're missing your starting center half, you're going to have to find a replacement pretty quickly. Leicester, I mean, it seems like their form kind of wavers. Last year they started out red hot. Well, not red hot, white hot. My gosh. But they kind of petered out towards the end of the season. And I'm just curious to see if that form is going to continue. If I remember correctly, what's their point standing right now? I think they drew against Blackburn in a friendly, but then they beat both West Brom and Burnley, who might in all theory be battling for relegation zone this year. So I haven't really seen too much to convince me that they're going to be back in 5th position, but it's an early season, so we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
KG, here's the magic question: Who finished on top in the Premier League, Leicester or Arsenal?
Oh, Arsenal. I think, Brendan, their squad is good, but right now with the way that these teams are shaping up, Arsenal has players of a pedigree that are different than Leicester. And that's not really saying a lot, but in reality, like the squad at Leicester is not the same squad that won the Premier League years back. So they're up and coming. I expect them to finish, 6th, maybe 7th, maybe 8th. But Arsenal are, I wouldn't say there's a couple of weeks ago, yes, I did say, it could be their year, but as the time goes on, you kind of start to see the inherent flaws in some of these squads. Leicester has more flaws than Arsenal, and I think they have more gaps to fill. So with that being said, I don't think that the quality of the Leicester players is enough for them to finish above Arsenal. And I think a lot of times what we see in the Premier League is that players get figured out, right? And so when players are unknown quantities, they come on the scene. They're very, very hard. They make a huge impact at first. But when teams start to adjust to their style of play, their patterns that they implement, like as in Brendan Rodgers, like you'll see them, they're gonna start to take a dip. Arteta's fairly new. People haven't really figured out this Arsenal squad yet, really, in terms of how they attack and what it is that they really are trying to do. But they do have more quality than Leicester, so I don't think that they're going to finish. I think Arsenal's going to finish above Leicester for sure.
All right, enough of this middle table team talk. Let's talk about the teams that are actually up in the top echelon of this thing, right? Everton, those guys are off to a flying start. They're 2-0 in the Premier League. Basi, what's wrong with your face? Fix your face, please. It's gonna be on video.
You don't even make sense. You talking about teams that are middle table. We're top of the league, dude.
Oh, talk to me.
All the way up there. We're a top team, man. Respect yourself.
Everton is off to a flying start, 2-0. Carlo Ancelotti is doing his thing. We got James is off to a flying start as well. You guys have been doing pretty good, Rohit. So where do you think that Everton will finish eventually?
I would personally love to see them finish fifth, but sixth or seventh is realistic to me, just because there's so much talent in the top of the Premier League table. In the Premier League, yeah, the starting 11 for Everton has gotten much, much better, especially the midfield. Signing those three midfielders of Decore, Alan, and James has made the midfield that we had last year look like a championship level midfield. But I still think that we're missing a couple pieces, and I'm just, especially after yesterday's performance at Fleetwood Town, yeah, Everton got the result, but the two goals that Pickford allowed in were very troubling. And a stat to show you my concern, Kepa saved 63% of his shots last year. Pickford only saved 64% of his shots last year. So it's not much better. And Pickford is the number one for the national team for England. So I'm a little disheartened that Chelsea signed Edouard Mendy, because that means more people are going to be noticing the flaws that Pickford has, and that just is only going to affect his confidence even more. Pickford as our goalkeeper, he shows too much emotion, and that kind of has an effect on our team last year. When he's really pumped up, makes a great save, he starts fist bumping the center halves, the left back, the right back. But when he gets mad, he starts punching the turf or misses a save, starts punching the turf, and it shows too much emotion. And I think we need to have a netminder that keeps cool so that we don't show and don't lose our temper. And because you're going to have ebbs and flows in the season. Yeah, we've had two great results. We have a big match coming up against Saturday against Palace, who had that shocking result against United last week.
Wasn't shocking.
KG, stop talking. It's not your turn.
Against United. But for me, the big one is going to be October 17th, the Merseyside derby when they play Liverpool. That's going to be interesting to see. I don't expect Everton to win, even though it's a home fixture, mainly because there's no fans in the stands. But I would love to see a 1-1 result, a draw. That would be a great positive result for Ancelotti. But I just think the midfield of Liverpool is just going to boss the midfield of Everton too much in that matchup.
So Rohit, I hear you mentioned that there are some pieces that are missing. I didn't. What do you think about the transfer business that they've done so far, and what do you think they need to do to actually improve the squad before the transfer window closes?
Everton are a really interesting package, man. They've got ownership that are willing to separate with their money. And frankly, there's an Arsenal tie-in between Farhad Moshiri and with Alisher Usmanov. Like, they've got dollars. They have parted with smart dollars. I think, okay, there's a little bit of this window left, and you could see them maybe bringing in one or two more kind of role players. But my thing is, if they're within striking distance of a top 4 spot or a Europa spot at minimum, they're going to do business in the winter as well, or whatever that window looks like. So there's a lot of possibility there. I don't look forward to playing them, quite frankly. And the other thing is that Ancelotti knows this league, and he's a nice leader. And you add nice leader, buy-in from the players, some money from the guys upstairs. Like, I don't think they're Chelsea. I don't think they're City, but they're legit, and people should be paying attention.
So the only position, as an Everton fan, the one besides Pickford, I can go on and on about him. I think Everton need another center half for depth purposes because we have Mason Holgate injured right now. So it's going to take for him some time to come back. Yerry Mina last year had some injuries, had some fitness issues, and he's kind of stepped in. But Michael Keane is also there.
I don't have time for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I that's what I was going to say. Everybody's been talking to him. This goes back to last year when we were talking about Yerry Mina. I think he's garbage as a defender. I'm sorry. Like, if he's your starting center back, like, you're going to have problems.
Well, Holgate would be our center.
Wait, Rohit, we just lost you. Can you repeat that one?
Yeah, Rohit, you're frozen.
Second half, he performed okay. Frozen.
Yeah, can you repeat that, Rohit?
Yeah, I was saying Yerry Mina in the first half against West Brom, horrendous. The first goal that was conceded, he didn't close down the space. He allowed the runner to just attack him, and by the time he made a move, the shot was fired past Pickford. I agree with the criticism of Mina. He's not a top. I know he's a Colombian international center half, but that doesn't really mean much to me.
All right, so Alo, real quick, let's talk about the game against West Brom that Everton played. They won that game 5-2. Calvert-Lewin, he's actually he's shaped up to be a really good player. Marvin, my roommate, he had him on the fantasy team and beat me by 10 points. So I'm not in the greatest mood right now. But he has had 4 goals in 2 games. Bazi, is Calvert-Lewin just a flash in the pan, or was he projected to be this good?
Listen, I called that a year ago. That guy scored.
Oh, you called it a year ago?
Yes.
Come on.
Listen, you guys got to start giving me my twos, okay? Got to go back for conversation. That guy scored 13 goals last year. Anybody who scored 13 goals in a mid-table team is somebody to look at. And the type of goals that he scored last year, he's a scruffy guy. He gets in the box. He does the work. He's not the most technical guy, but he has that frame. You know what I mean? And he works hard, so he's going to be successful. And he grew up playing in the league. You know what I mean? So I have a feeling if with Everton, and again, we spoke about this the other day about the Premier League being so tight, where players are just brought in for doing certain jobs. So that means if you can contribute 5 goals and you got 3 or 4 guys that can give you 5 goals, that makes a difference in your campaign, So last year, Richarlison scored 13, Calvert-Lewin scored 13, and that made a huge difference, but nobody else scored goals. So this year, if they can mimic the same thing they did last year, and guys like James can give you 5 or 6, and now you have these guys climbing up the table. Again, going towards the end of the year, look how tight it was with the goal differentials. And you have guys that can come in and can score goals. So I have a feeling that Calvert-Lewin is going to hit double digits again. But what we need to take note of is other guys are going to score goals for them. And that's even more scary, like Eden was saying. So I don't want to play Everton either.
Okay. So KG, let's talk about another player that scored a hat-trick this week. Kai Havertz. He finally got that the elephant off his back. Now he's a little bit free. Even though Tammy Abraham, full disclosure, Tammy Abraham did put all of them on the platform. All he had to do was breathe and pass the ball in the goal. But that's fine. That's fine. What do you think about that the Chelsea Barnsley game? KG.
I don't think you can take too much out of that game. I mean, the disparity in quality was obvious, and I think the thing about the way that Chelsea play and what Frank Lampard is trying to implement is that those guys are pressing all the time. So if you look at 4 of the goals, they came from 4 mistakes from the Barnsley players, right? And the mistakes you could kind of say were created by the pressing style, but like better teams aren't going to make those same type of mistakes. But what I will say is, if you look at the first goal that he scored, it's the quickness of thought, right? He takes one touch and he passes the ball into the side of the net, right? So calmly, so easily past the keeper. And that's the quality that you see in terms of finishing from a midfielder. That's you can see why Chelsea paid the money that they paid for him. KG. So it's the guy's 21 years old.
KG, remember it's only Barnsley, so I know you're.
You're asking me my opinion about the game, and I'm trying to give you. I'm saying I'm not taking too much from it, but I'm saying when you see a player do something, like, yes, like you all right, like, again, like nobody's gonna flounder and say, like, yeah, his first two games weren't great, but like if you look, guy's just turned 21. He's played multiple positions already. You know, he scored a hat trick. And so at the end of the day, like if you want to shun a guy for scoring a hat trick, that's on you. But you got to take it with a grain of salt. Like, you got to look at the level of competition. Like, it's going to do well for his confidence. I think the better test and we'll know more after this weekend. Leave it at that.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure if you want to add anything to that unnecessary Carabao Cup game, but let's talk about a game that actually does matter. They got waxed by Liverpool, 2-0. Christensen red card.
Waxed?
How many points did you get? How many goals did you score?
No. Man United got waxed.
3-1.
There's a big difference.
3-1. 3-1.
I'm sorry. Which
3-1.
goalkeeper had another meme?
The ball in the back of the net.
Which goalkeeper had another meme this past weekend? I'm sorry.
I mean, if you're teasing the subject, then let's talk about it. Hodgson outmanaged Solskjaer, straight up. He moved his chess pieces better than the other guy, and they got bossed. They got bossed around the pitch. They were wide open in channels. They insist on players that are probably not fit. It's criminal that Paul Pogba is not the best midfielder in the world every single week, and that means there's something wrong with the organization. If all the fish in the river are dead, you don't talk to the fish. Find out what's in the water. So what's going on?
Thank you, Aiden. So I've been trying to tell them this since day one, that I feel like the quality of players that we have, the 11, not the Igalos and the Lingards of the world, but the quality that we have to put out a good starting 11 is not supposed to be having such a rough time containing Luis Saha. We're not supposed to have such a rough time trying to deal with Ayewu and others. They are good quality players. Our defensive line is very bad. We were very pedestrian.
No.
The quality of play, basically, we came out flat. There was the Manchester United that came out
in the back.
The Manchester United that came out, it was embarrassing to watch. I've called this out before the season even started, that if we don't get depth, it's going to be a long season for me. All I'm going to be doing is trying to deflect why I'm a Man U fan.
See, this is the thing. This is the problem, right? You guys are saying that these are quality players. The players that you guys have, I don't think because this is the thing. Because they're at Manchester United, you guys rate them higher than what they actually are. And so let me finish. Mm-hmm. Right? If you go back, you guys rate the players because of the amount of money that you spend on them. But if you go back and you look at the track history of all of the players that you guys have signed, there's a reason why Manchester United is generally the only team that's willing to pay that amount of money for the players that you've bought. Like,
80 million for Harry Maguire.
Constant theme. You guys buy poorly, and that's the thing. It's okay because he's 85 million pounds. You expect a world class player. So any other team would tell you that Harry Maguire is not a world class center back.
Are you
He's
done,
not.
KG? Okay, my turn. So the reason why I can't take KG seriously is because KG doesn't think that KDB is a world-class player. If you don't think KDB is a world-class player, I can't take you seriously. I understand the point that you're trying to make, but Paul Pogba is a world-class player. I don't understand like
When was
what
the last time Paul Pogba was a world-class player?
2018 World Cup.
Maybe,
Is
yeah.
that fair to say?
Yeah.
But I thought, yeah.
I mean,
He wasn't.
You could
He was
say
maybe the
he
fifth
performed
best.
well
He was
on the
maybe the
world
fifth best
stage.
player on his team.
Fair.
I can't
Okay.
say that. I would say Mbappe in that World Cup.
Yeah, Mbappe was a world-class player, but so was Paul Pogba.
Conte, Griezmann,
Conte was also a
Mbappe,
world-class player.
Pavard. Like, you can go down the list of the players that were ahead of Paul Pogba in terms of productivity in that World Cup.
They were all world-class. All the names that you're calling are world-class players.
I mean, there's a reason they're still the favorites in the Euros next year.
Right, because they have a lot of world-class players on their team. So that's why I can't take KG seriously. But enough about Manchester United, because we are not.
I want to say one last thing about
Man.
Man United, because I don't think it gets represented enough, and this is messed up right here. If we're going to talk about why there's a structure that makes bad financial or personnel decisions at Man United, it's because of the condition that Alex Ferguson left that team in. Alex Ferguson managed to squeeze out that last championship and didn't worry at all about the age profile, about the condition of the academy, about anything that his successor, and by the way, who does he think he is naming his successor? Hand-picking David Moyes and then releasing a book like the day that the guy, poor bastard, starts managing and showing up in the stands every week. Doesn't give the guy a chance to get going. So I think that there needs to be a reconciliation about that, because that's left a mark. And I think it's still having effects today. And I'm not even a fan, and I hope it long continues. But I think that's where it's.
So with Alex Ferguson, he's been at the end. He was looking out for himself. Yes, that is definitely 100% correct. But it is still up to the club itself to have a structure. It's not Alex Ferguson's job to have a structure in place for a post Alex Ferguson era. The way how we basically handled our post Alex Ferguson era, like how Arsenal is currently handling a post Arsene Wenger era, right? Like there is no structure, there was no plans.
What are you talking about? Now
like that's how it is. That's how it works.
You guys cannot get
what we're doing right now. I think we're trying to put something in place, but I think the effort is the wound is a little bit too deep for the band-aid that we're putting over right now. We need some surgical.
Really,
you guys need an amputation.
Dude, how many managers?
Or an amputation. That's fine.
How many
It's the same thing. The same concept is even with Barcelona. Barcelona has this whole idea of surrounding their players, their whole team, their whole organization, their whole structure, their whole fan base around Messi. That if Messi leaves, he tried to leave this year and they caught him up in a contract. But if he does leave, what identity does Barcelona have when Messi leaves? Like who's going to be the next Messi? They don't have Neymar because that's who they were trying to groom. Griezmann is head over.
That's why they brought in this coach. They brought in this coach, so they're not going to try and have that identity of one player.
Right. So you have at some
Koeman. Are we talking about Barcelona?
So
right?
they're not. Their mission statement is not about who's going to be the new Messi anymore. That's why people are pissed off.
But I was
go ahead.
But let's contrast, right? Let's contrast. So we look at Arsenal, we look at Manchester United, and then we look at Chelsea, right? And Eden can protest this. I've said this from the very beginning. The reason why Chelsea is able to maintain a certain level is because they're not beholden to one individual. The club moves on and moves on quickly from every single player. So when you see a transition or you see somebody gets sold or a player leaves the club moves on, right? Because they have a structure, a corporate structure. And that's the new way of football. You can't be beholden to one individual. And we're seeing, like, for example, we look at Man City. When Pep leaves, they're going to be in trouble. We look at Liverpool. When Klopp leaves, they're going to be in trouble. You have to have, in modern day football, because the money is is so equal amongst all of the teams within the upper echelons, your organizational structure has to be on point. And that's the problem with a lot of the traditional big teams is they rely too much on their history and the player or individuals to make the difference within their organization.
Okay, so Rohit, I got a quick question for you. So right now, there's the concept of overpromising and under delivering for Manchester United. How many games do you think it's going to take before Ole goes back under that knife of being under pressure and he might get sacked? How many games do you think it's going to take before that pressure starts to mount?
I mean, if I'm being honest, I think he's under that pressure right now. I'm being serious because you have a world class manager in Mauricio Pochettino who's available to be hired, and I don't know how much longer you guys Manchester United needs to see that. Look, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a fantastic human being, but as an in-game tacticianer, he's not that. He's not going to make the in-match adjustments that you guys need to succeed. He's okay with man management, but I mean, if you've had multiple managers, you had Mourinho and now Solskjaer that can't get the best out of Paul Pogba. I don't know. It seems like you just need a new voice in that dressing room to get the United players to go forward. And Pochettino has proven in the past. Yes, it was Tottenham, and Daniel Levy at Tottenham doesn't necessarily gave him the financial backing, and Woodward doesn't give a lot of financial backing, but it's more than what Levy currently gives. So I think Pochettino would do a better job than Solskjaer.
So Aiden, do you think they had the opportunity to sign Pochettino at some point when he got removed from Tottenham's position? Who do you think outside of Pochettino? Do you think there's anybody else that can steer the ship in the right direction?
I mean, you have to ask the question: Are we sure that it's a matter of the manager isn't doing well? Because it's not as though he is an inexperienced manager. He's not like certainly not like an Arteta, Frank Lampard, Andrea Pirlo situation. He was a manager in, was it Sweden or Denmark for at least 4 or 5 years? He's probably got almost 10 years. Yeah. So I think it's a matter of what is the message from the top? What is the club actually wanting to be about? Are we living off of the fumes of the past, or are we going to assert why we're the biggest club in the world again, besides just revenues and jersey sales, which, by the way, after a while of not performing, that's not going to last forever. So I don't think they're selling a lot of number 6s right now out of the Man United shop. I would guess they're probably selling a lot more number 18s, as they should do. But I also want to say something like, KG, I understand that, like, as a normal organization would want to run, that the kind of recognition that you don't want to get wrapped up in individuals and you want to cut bait when you realize you need to and move on cleanly. But that is also a very luxury position. Not a lot of businesses can necessarily afford to do that. What that reminds me of is and literally it's almost like this, is buying a Lamborghini, driving it for a year, selling it after taking the massive depreciation, but not really giving a shit because you're kind of over it. It doesn't do it for you anymore. And there's other ones that are coming along. I get it. It's nice if you can do it, but I would push back on it being the modern thing of football. I think it's the modern interpretation of what Chelsea can do, but it's not necessarily the modern way of running football.
Yeah, I mean, Real Madrid right now, a lot of their past transfer efforts have been trying to buy younger players that they can develop over time. I mean, they spent $50 million for Vinicius Jr., but they haven't really gone after the Galacticos signings or the Beckhams or the James or the Kroos or the Ronaldos in the past few years. Granted, they might be saving their money to go after Haaland and Mbappe, but you haven't heard any of their stuff. Whereas Barcelona has gone for the marquee signings, the Neymars, the Griezmanns and stuff. So I kind of agree with that.
Eden, but what I will say is, like, look at Bayern as in terms of the way that they operate, right? They don't overspend for players. When their coach in their mind, when their coach hits a certain peak, regardless if they win the league or not, he's gone, right? And so they don't look at it and that's really why they maintain a certain level. Players come in and go, but organizationally, Bayern Munich are probably the prime example of what I'm talking about. Like, when their players hit a certain age, Like they're not afraid to let their players go. It's the same reason why they've been shopping David Alaba around for the last a year and a half. Like they're trying to get rid of him. Same thing with Boateng. You know what I mean? Like when their players reach a certain age, they're like, all right, it's time for you to go. It's time for fresh blood. And so
Can
it's
I
like,
push back on that? Is that a Bayern thing or is that a German footballing mindset?
That's actually a German business mindset. Like,
well,
all the big. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm pushing Thomas Muller out, but I'm not talking.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I think Rohit is actually kind of touching on something. It is something that you see in how German businesses writ large do run, is typically the ones that have a CEO or a board chair, they typically don't serve past age 63, 65, and that's like a known thing. And they usually have successors ready downrange or uprange, rather, and identified relatively early. And considering Bayern is basically owned in part by what? Volkswagen Group and then the state of Bavaria, it probably makes sense that that's how they do their thing. And again, I don't disagree, by the way, KG, with that being a right way to do business and a good way to not have to tether yourself to individuals. But I think what happens with a lot of clubs is because they aren't run well, they try to cash in as much as they can on a single horse, like they have done with Messi. And poor guy, I think he's quite had it. So,
Bazzi, speaking of, we're jumping back on Bayern Munich, but there's a particular player in mind that that I want to point out. Chris Richards. He's an American football player. And we have a couple of those guys that are actually starting to show up on the international scene. We got Chris Richards. He has some playing time against Schalke. Tyler Adams.
Oh, he did. He made his debut.
Yeah. Awesome. And I think in the 70th minute, and then we have Tyler Adams. He's for RB Leipzig. He got man of the match, I think, a couple of weeks ago or the last game. Then we got Weston McKennie. He's the Juventus player. He was a part of the winning team.
I wish Nahom was on this podcast, man.
Then we also have Gio Reyna. He plays for Dortmund. So now that we have a whole bunch of next generation talent in America, Alo, with the group of talent that we have, do we have the opportunity are we good enough to challenge for World Cup? I know it's a little premature, but
Alo, before you speak, I just want to did you see when Holland called him the American Dream? He called Gio the American Dream today.
Yep. And he drew the penalty for Dortmund. Go ahead, Bazzi.
What's going on? I'm actually very excited. You know me, I've always been proudly saying the MLS guy. You know, I've always wanted the league to do well and improve and all of that, you know. And I actually was very excited seeing the younger guys going over. Guys like Chris Richards. That's why I say I was very surprised, because I had, tracked that kid a while back. He had gone to Bayern a long time ago. He used to be at the FC Dallas Academy. And, there's so many of those guys over there in Germany that are on the U23 teams that are breaking their ways to coming up. And, we have players at Barcelona Academy, captaining the B team. So we have these crop of players on, good academies, good programs playing. But we have a terrible coach. You know what I mean? And I feel like we've come a long way to have somebody like Greg Berhalter run our team. We can do so much better. And I think that we need to put ourselves in the pedestal of expectations of knowing that in order for us to get to where we need to go to, our foundation needs to start with a very serious, coach. And because we have the talent, man, we're a big country. Minus the guys overseas, we still have talent guys here, and it shows because, Reggie Cannon just went overseas to Boa Vista in Portugal. They're taking the credible players. They're buying our players over there. So that means they're seeing something out of them. And as we talked with Nahom, I told him, I said, Weston McKennie, he's going to go there and that guy's going to play. Oh, no, it's not. It's a business. That guy can play ball. You know what I mean? And he fit in like a glove. And everybody was just saying that guy, they're comparing him to, like, I know it's prematurely and it's young, but they're comparing the guy to like a Edgar Davies, like a young Edgar Davies. And that's a lot to say for an American player to come in and boss a midfield and just to see how he interacts with guys like Ronaldo, you cannot tell me that's a bad move for the guy. You know what I mean? So I'm very excited. Very exciting times for the American players.
So Rohit, real quick. So Greg Berhalter, the head coach for the men's national team, it is going to be a challenge for him or whoever's in that position to get them together. What are your thoughts on how he can actually manage to fit a Pulisic, a Chris Richards, a Tyler? Like, we don't even know where Tyler Adams will play in the team.
Right, that's the issue. It's just you have Reina and Pulisic. I mean, they're both. I know Pulisic is considered a winger at Chelsea, but he can also be an attacking midfielder, and Reina's an attacking midfielder. So it's going to be weird to fit all those pieces together. And during the COVID times, it's hard to. I'm focusing on the 22 World Cup, not the 26 World Cup. 22 World Cup might be a little difficult to get everyone situated, especially since a lot of these. Like, Reina's only 17. Tyler Adams they're all in their young 20s. I'm really curious, and I don't even know if Berhalter will be the coach by the World Cup that I'm curious about, which is the 26th World Cup, where it's hosted in the U.S. Because that's going to be the World Cup where you're going to have the high expectations, the U.S. fan base. We're going to be clamoring. We have the Captain America as people ordained Christian Pulisic for Chelsea. We have a solid midfield grouping, a young, talented midfield, and we have Chris Richards, a good defender that's getting some quality playing time at Bayern. It's a good start, but we still have to build upon that. I'm going to be focused on 26, though. 22 is a little too.
We're going to cheat our way into winning that World Cup. Watch.
Jose Mourinho. Jose
oh, no.
Mourinho.
Listen.
Jose Mourinho.
We don't have the discipline from Mourinho.
Hey,
we don't have
no way.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with these names. So they're Brian Ching, Taylor Twellman, Jeff Cunningham, Charlie Davis, Kyle Beckerman, Onyewu, Breck Shea, Freddie Adu. America is well known for having overrating their players. Is this another one of those cases?
What I worry about is, and it's probably a boring theme that I go back to, is what's the leadership and where is the intention? Having a bunch of exceptional freak athletes in a 330 million person country is not that impressive. I love that it's happening and I love that they're ours, but are we being systematic about how we produce them? And then going back to Bazi's point, once you get them on the national team, who the hell is leading them and how? Because it's not so much having the talent, it's what you do with it, how you assemble it, what you get them to buy in on. It's definitely exciting, but I think there's got to be a bit more charisma, a bit more stated goals that are coming out of it. Besides, I think the last few World Cups, it's been like, well, we should expect good things, but specifically, what do we want? What are those role players going to do? Who's going to step up into leadership? Those things are not so clear. And I think if you're going to go a long way in a World Cup, you should be able to answer those questions.
I think that you bring up a good point because a lot of the teams, like I'm going back to Germany, a lot of the German national players, they mainly play on Bayern or Dortmund or in the Bundesliga. So they have that similar structure, whereas a lot of the U.S. men's national midfielders, a couple in Germany, you have now Weston McKennie at Juventus, you have Pulisic in Chelsea. They're all going to be playing different styles of football. So it's going to be interesting to see how Berhalter and the U.S. men's national team, what type of formation, what type of structure they decide to implement to get the best out of all this potential.
Okay. KG, you want to add anything on the?
Yeah. Bazi and I have had a lot of discussions around this. Like, the Berhalters are the worst thing to have ever happened to U.S. soccer, and if you look at where we are right now in the talent that is being developed, I'm glad that these guys are going overseas to get more of a cultural view, because the way that soccer is viewed in America, if you look at the Berhalters, if you look at the way that they have traditionally operated, they choose the biggest, the fastest, and the strongest. And that's not conducive in any sense to football, like, globally. And so these guys are all going out, they're proving their quality, And so there comes a point in time where these players are going to all come back, and they're going to look at Berhalter and be like, he's not going to have a say in anything. Like, he's not a good enough coach for the quality of players that the U.S. has, even right now. And I think as the qualifying goes on, it's going to become more and more obvious, and the players themselves aren't going to put up with it. And so I think his time is limited, and I think the structure of U.S. soccer, because of the players and the quality of players and the levels that they're performing at right now, it's going to change because they're not gonna put up with the bullshit. They're not going to put up with the traditional way that the U.S. has selected the players. They've formed their national team. Like, the players are just going to say no. And when you have players that are at big clubs like Juventus, Chelsea, Bayern Munich that are telling you no, you'll see because this is a young crop of players that they have their own voices, they have their own opinions, and so they're not going to be afraid to say, like, this guy is not good enough of a coach to be coaching this level of players, and it's going to turn the entire system upside down.
Well, I don't think. Go ahead. Somebody has something to say? Okay. So I was gonna say that I don't think Berhalter is the only thing that's hurting American soccer. I think that
There's
the
two of them.
Peacock. No, yeah, both of them. The Berhalters. I think that America is gonna be suffering with the streaming that Peacock has been giving people. They're taking away all the good games. So that's definitely going to be
Don't start
affecting
me with that.
soccer in America on a whole. But let's jump on to the predictions that we have for some of the games coming up. Liverpool, they're going to be playing Arsenal. Liverpool will be at home. That's what we call home now. They're going to be at home. Rohit, what do you think that score is going to be?
I'm sorry, you cut out for a second on my end. So
I said for the Liverpool Arsenal game, I'm trying to get your prediction.
Liverpool, 3-1.
3-1 Liverpool. Okay, Aiden, let's hear this one. Oh, he's frozen.
I'd have to say 2-1 Arsenal.
Oof.
What is this?
And we didn't mean it.
Oh, it was an accident. David Luiz was trying to score own goal, and he just scored it in the wrong goal. Okay.
100%.
Bazzi, what's your take on it?
I'm going to say 1-1 Arsenal. It's going to be tight, but it's going to be 1-1.
Okay, that sounds like a good game, end-to-end stuff. Let's go with Everton. Crystal Palace is going to be.
So I don't get a chance to say what my prediction is.
KG, I know how bad is it going to be, KG?
6-0.
Shut up.
Hey, he's been waiting to say that all day, Em. You gave my
Dying for it.
Huh? Or you thought he was going to say 2?
The
6-0.
Okay.
That will make
okay,
you know that will make your Monday too.
With that said, how about we do this? Let's look at the Everton game. Crystal Palace is going to be playing against Everton. Rohit, what do you think that game is going to end up? That's a close one.
Yeah, I mean, Crystal Palace has looked pretty damn good in the first 2 matches, along with Everton. I'm going to go. The Evertonian heart wants me to say 2-1, but I'll say 2-2 draw because it's going to be a road fixture
fluke,
for Everton.
Man. Have faith. It's a fluke. Trust me.
I'll be conservative, say 2-2 draw. I think there's going to be goals in this matchup.
Okay, that's a good one. Aiden, what's your call?
I think Ancelotti is a better manager than Roy Hodgson, and I think Everton is going to win 3-1.
Yep.
Okay. Bazzi, what's your take? Bazzi, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Everton they're gonna start opening the gates. It's gonna be 3 or 4 because, like I say, Crystal Palace, you guys just suck. Like United, like there's no excuse. You guys are terrible. So forget about that game. Don't start looking at Palace now like, oh my God, those guys are gonna get waxed. by Everton. So have faith, my brother.
What's the
They're gonna
score,
go back
Bazzi?
to the same old Crystal Palace that they are.
What's the score?
4-1.
Okay, KG, what do you say?
Now I got 3-0 to Crystal Palace. If you look at it, they've been playing the same way. They know the way that they play. You guys act like Roy Hodgson is some amateur manager who hasn't like Roy Hodgson was coaching
defenders are
in
gonna get
Serie A.
tension.
Hold on, let me finish. Roy Hodgson was coaching in Serie A when Ancelotti was still a player. So relax yourself, guys. Relax yourself.
Roy Hodgson is 93 years old. Please don't tell me about out
Well,
coaching.
we'll talk on the podcast next week. You'll see.
All right, so let's get we got two more. Let's run around the table. West Brom taking on Chelsea, hosting Chelsea. Rohit.
Chelsea. West Brom's going to be the bottom of the league this year.
Yeah, that's
5-0.
Merrill, 5.
Oh, snap.
KG, what do you say?
I'll mimic Rohit 5-0.
Bazzi?
I'll say about 4 or 5-2. Yeah,
5.
it's gonna be a
4-5-2?
floodgates.
Okay, Aiden, what's your take on it?
Before I say my take, I want to say for the record that if they get it together, Chelsea are the scariest team in the league. If they get it together.
Facts.
So with that said, I could see them having a night like they did in the Cup. I'll say 4-1. They'll get lazy and complacent for a second, and they'll let one in.
Okay. And the last and the greatest game of all time, Brighton versus Manchester United. Bazzi, what's funny? The match of the week.
Hey, where's Ashton Kutcher? I feel like I'm being punked.
The match of the week, Brighton versus Man U. KG, what say you?
Yo, you guys are about to lose. Have you seen Brighton play in the last couple of weeks? You guys are about to lose 3-0. 3-0 Brighton.
All I know is you better get Luke Shaw on something.
Luke Shaw needs to be on
Tariq Lamptey is going to destroy
him. Lamptey?
He's going to destroy him.
Rohit, what's your take on the match of the week?
You can't start with Shaw that day. If you start with Shaw, he's going to get destroyed.
Rohit, what's your take? What's your take, real quick?
1-1 draw.
1-1. I did. What you say?
Brighton 2-0.
Okay. Well, Bazzi, what do you have? Do you have anything else to add besides don't?
Yes, I do. If you start with Shaw, you're going to take 3-1. If you don't play with Shaw, you might get 1-1.
Okay. All right. With that said, our family reunion has come to an end. Thank you, KG. Thank you, Bazzi. Thank you, Aiden. Thank you, Rohit. I'm the guy that was asking some of the questions. Thank you all for listening. Please leave your thoughts, suggestions, feedback, any corrections in the comment section below. For all things Soccer Family, just check us out on thesoccerfam.com, where you can find our podcast, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, email. This helps subscribe and support our project for as little as $1 a month to get exclusive content and be a part of our family. So we're looking forward to hearing what you have to say, and I hope to get to see you guys at the next family reunion. Little more.
Awesome, guys. Good night, fellas.